With all the changes recently, it might be time to sell the portfolio. A lot of news recently, and it's caused a lot of landlords to think about selling up. And I've actually had investors reaching out to me saying, well, should we sell the portfolios? And it's a really interesting insight. In this video, I want to break down why you genuinely might want to sell your portfolio, and why I think also this change represents the biggest window of opportunity that I've ever seen in my investment career. So let's break down some of the reasons you might want to sell, and then I'll talk about how we can maybe counter that and how we can take advantage of this opportunity. So first of all, EPC changes. If you don't know this, an EPC is an energy performance certificate. So you legally need one in order to sell a property in the UK. And we're trying to be very conscious as a country of how we impact climate change. And the government believes, rightly or wrongly, that EPC changes are going to have a really big impact on that. You can have your own view. But the reality is, it's only for investors. We represent 21% of the UK's investment portfolio right now. So there's around 26 million properties. 21% are private landlords. So what are the changes? Well, it used to be that you could have any energy performance and it just impacted people, whatever. Then they moved it to an EPCE, which is currently the law. But by 2030, it needs to be EPCC or above. Now, the reason for this is also because of cost of living crisis and, of course, the energy crisis, people paying more and more bills, and we want to draw tenants into more energy efficient homes, so it's going to support them. It can be pretty bad, right? So if you own a property that's an EPC F or E, how much is it going to cost? Well, it could cost tens of thousands of pounds, and that's the big drama, right? The reality is, well, first of all, there's 6 years before that happening at the point of filming. So 6 years between now and then. There's also a cap on it of an absolute max of 10 grand. And the government has said that they're not going to penalise people. They're going to incentivise people. So they're already releasing loans and grants to make this happen. But let's say they didn't for a second. Let's say there were no grants, no support whatsoever. Well, it's capped at £10,000. So 6 years. £10,000 divided by 6 is what? 1,666? No doubt I've got that slightly wrong, but I think that's about right. 1,600 a year, right? Really, 1,600 a year. We're talking about an investment that's getting you a 20% return on an annual basis between rent and the capital growth, and you're worried about genuinely the maximum potential damage of 1,600 a year. Maybe buy-to-lets isn't for you in the first place. First of all, I want to talk about pensions. So we got pension age. So naturally, there's a sell-off due to an aging population. And make no mistake, the UK is an aging population. We're actually in population decline right now. The reason why demand keeps on going up, by the way, is a lot of immigration and things, which has pros and cons, of course. But one of the upsides, if you are an owner, is property values going up. One of the downsides, if you're not an owner, is costs are going up and it's harder and harder to get a property in the first place. But people are coming to retirement age. And so in 2022, for example, the report that came through was there are 140,000 landlords that were looking to retire. And you have to bear in mind that those landlords bought the property for £3.50 and $7. No, I'm joking. That they bought it for a lot less money. They built fairly substantial portfolios. The financing that was around back then is very different to now. And so there's 140,000 landlords that own, let's say, an average of 2.5 properties. And there's 140,000 of them. Doesn't take a genius, 2.5 times that. We're talking, 300 and something thousand, close to 400,000. It's a lot of properties that are getting offloaded. The interesting thing about retirement, though, is it gets you thinking about the pension changes. And the pension changes were really interesting. This is why it's more of a window of opportunity here. So if you don't know this, the government feebly mentioned in the new government update, the budget, that pensions will now potentially be subject to inheritance tax. Well, that was quite a big draw for pensions, wasn't it? And paying in for pensions. I think the window of opportunity that's really here right now is now more than ever, people need to look for alternative pensions. And once you take away the fact that it was protected from inheritance tax, it now puts it in line with a lot of other investments. And so, actually one of the biggest alternatives as an asset is, you guessed it, property. Section 21. What a great idea. Let's get rid of one of the longest standing sections of the Landlord Tenancy Act. Was it a good idea? Honestly, I just don't give a shit. If you don't know what it is, Section 21 is no-fault evictions. And so most people, when you're getting rid of a tenant, it's through Section 21. You issue Section 21, and it's a no-fault eviction. Basically, you're in my property. I don't want you in my property anymore, so off you go. Why don't I care about this? Well, because of Section A. Section A is a at-fault eviction. It could be that they've breached the rules. It could be that they're not paying your rent. Maybe they're in arrears. Maybe you've increased your rent and they're not in line with it. So what's actually happening? The fear is, oh my God, it's the reform. It's coming. It's all pro-tenant. And it's like, no, it's just actually asking you not to be a twat as a landlord. Like, think about it this way. If you own a buy-to-let property and you've got a tenant in, they're looking after, they're not breaching any of the terms, and they're paying you your rent and your top-ups or whatever it is you want, why do you want to kick them out? Why would you want to get rid of them? Like, I can't think of many reasons where if they're not breaching any of the agreements and I want to run it as a buy-to-let, then I don't need to kick them out. By the way, this isn't say you need to move into the house. There's been a personal situation. That would come under Section 8. Let's say you were selling the property. That would still come under Section 8. You can still get rid of a tenant that way, which is reasonable. But they're getting rid of no-fault evictions. But what they're also doing, because that's perceived as being very pro-tenant, and it's like, I don't think it's pro or con anyone. It's just don't be a twat, and we're going to enforce it a little bit. Because it stops people going, I don't like you. I want you out. And a lot of prejudice goes on with Section 21, which is not for this video. So what they're doing is strengthening Section 8. And what this is doing is actually adding more into Section 8 notices and then enforcing them a lot more. So there's quite a lot of budget that's going towards this. So you're noticing a trend here. Change creates fear and opportunity. And the reality is how you are viewing this dictates your actions. Welcome to a property investment channel. Does it really shock you that I am not really selling my portfolio? Oh, you hooked me in, Jamie. The reality is, this is the window of opportunity. Every change that comes out creates opportunity, and it's all about your education, your mindset, and the action you're willing to take. So if you don't have the action, who around you has the knowledge to take advantage of this opportunity? Yes, there's Section 21. Yes, there's the EPC changes. Yes, there's stamp duty changes. We now pay 2% more. Really, that 2% on purchase. My exit on my portfolio is death. I don't know about you. So that extra couple of grand on a purchase, in my area at least, really isn't going to stop my 30, 40, 50 years, my kids' inheritance, and all of that investment plan. People are so dramatic. The reality is there are so many changes, and I always say, if in doubt, zoom out. The reality is the fundamentals haven't changed. Fundamentals are what hasn't changed. Jeff Bezos said this on an interview that a lot of people ask him, what's going to change in the next 10 years? It's a great question. Why do people not ask what's not going to change? Because those are the things that you can plan your investments upon, right? Are any of you, please do let me know in the comments. If you are genuinely thinking about investing in buy-to-let property and then selling it 6 to 12 months later. Right, anyone? No? Weird that. What's your exit? Put death in the comments if your exit is death as well. It's a bit morose, that, isn't it? But genuinely, you're thinking about the 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Let me ask you, do you see a future in the next 20 to 50 years where people won't want to have a roof over their head anymore? No? Can you see a situation where people don't want their independence anymore, i.e. to live on their own or with their family or whatever? No? Neither can I. And so if the fear gets so much that people exit the market, I'll just explain the economics. There's even less supply. The demand is still there. Prices go up even further. You don't wait to buy property. You buy property and wait. But if there was a window of opportunity to take action, I genuinely believe it's now. And if you're wanting to do that on your own, subscribe to the channel, watch as many videos as you can. I really want to help you to be able to do that. And if you've been watching this and going, I do want to take advantage of this opportunity, but I'm still not quite sure how, and maybe you need additional support, put APG in the comments. My business, Aspire, we help people build their portfolios. We do the work. You buy into it. You pay for it. It's your property. Maybe you just want to have a chat about how we can support you doing that. And if you do want that support, APG in the comments. I'll send you a link. Have a completely free, no obligation investment VIP call. We'll chat through the details, figure out if we can help you. And worst case scenario, we give you guidance on how you can do it on your own. Best case scenario, we start working together. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe and the notification bell. Let me know if you like this video, by the way, in the comments or by hitting the like button. I look forward to having a chat. And if not, I'll see you in the next video.